Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our live demo today. I'm so excited for you to see our new and improved video interviewing solution, OutMatch Video, which streamlines several steps in recruitment by combining on-demand video interviewing, live video interviewing, and automated scheduling. The solution you're going to see today comes to us from the recent acquisition of a company called Launchpad in the UK. I wanted to get OutMatch customers together, including new customers from Checkster and First Person, to see how the solution works and where it fits with other OutMatch tools you're using. With me today, I have Angie and Chris, who both joined OutMatch from the Launchpad team. Angie is our video interviewing product expert, and Chris is a senior account executive who's been helping customers make the switch to video-powered recruitment for over 7 years. Chris is going to start us off today with some background on video interviewing, and then Angie will jump into the live demo. If you have any questions along the way, please chat in and we'll answer those at the end, or we'll follow up with you after. And then at the end of the session today, we'll let you know how you can get a one-on-one demo if you're interested in learning more. So now, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Chris to get us started.
Thanks, Brianna. So I'm going to start with just a view of what OutMatch Video is. So OutMatch Video is a suite of tools that allows you to create candidate-driven, scalable, and fair selection processes. And it can be used either on its own or in conjunction with other parts of the OutMatch talent decision platform to create a single, seamless process. So today we're going to cover the reasons customers use video interviewing, a brief overview of the OutMatch Video suite, and then our Director of Product, Angie Cooper, is going to take you through a light demo so you can see what it looks like. But first, let's look at the common reasons for using video interviewing. The most obvious one is to cope with high levels of applications. One thing we're all seeing in 2020 is ever higher levels of applications, reflecting near record levels of unemployment in many parts of the world. And this is putting pressure on recruitment teams using manual screening processes. The video interviewing is most commonly used to replace manual screening and telephone interview stages within a screening and selection process to reduce the amount of time that's spent at that stage, but also to speed up the end process. Video interviewing on average can save about 80% of screening time. And when you add Predict AI, which we'll talk about in a moment, that can be upwards of 90%. The second reason is to improve the quality of decisions. Because video interviews collect primary data, as in what a candidate actually says, it's a great complement for assessments and simulation exercises. And the other thing about video interviewing is because it's a structured process, it ensures a level of consistency and fairness that's hard to replicate with offline assessment steps. And so customers that adopt video interviewing end up seeing higher conversion rates at interview stage, lower levels of attrition, both in 90 days and rolling 12 months. And they also report improvements in D&I distribution. And the third reason is to create a better candidate experience. One of the challenges when you have high volumes of applications and the time that it takes to screen those applicants manually is that candidates can be waiting for weeks and candidates may not even get feedback about the process. Video interviewing allows candidates to move themselves forwards in the process. And when it's used in conjunction with Predict AI, those highest potential candidates can actually move themselves all the way through to that final interview stage without having to wait. And along the way, there are opportunities to share engagement content to educate and excite candidates about the role they're applying for. So OutMatch Video offers two different types of video interviewing. On demand, which is pre-recorded or asynchronous video interviews, where candidates are recording their responses in their own time based on predefined questions set by you, the employer, and also live video interviewing. And for both of those mechanisms, there are ways to create high levels of automation. For on-demand video interviewing, it's possible to use our Predict AI technology to automatically analyze completed submissions allowing you to fast track high performers and stack rank candidates to review and progress. And for live video interviewing, candidates can be invited to self-schedule their interview slots based on real-time manager calendar availability. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Predict AI before we move into the demo. So for those of you that don't know, Predict AI is a market-leading, ethically designed recommendation engine that can sit across on-demand video interviewing to analyze responses and assess candidates' alignment with the behaviors and competencies required for the role they're applying for. It does this by using natural language processing and will analyze transcriptions of completed video interview responses, and will extract data features and analyze those against a model that's been built to represent what good looks like for that role or job family. To be clear, we don't look at any visual data. The bulk of the analysis is done based on the transcription and what the candidate says. And we also look at other aspects like audio data and behavioral data, how they interact with the platform as they go through the process. The net result is that candidates can be categorized with a recommendation of how good a fit they are for that role, allowing you to either automatically fast track high potential candidates or prioritize those candidates when it comes to reviewing their submissions. And these models are tested both for validity, but also for adverse impact. And one of the primary reasons for using the technology is to remove the human element that brings with it inconsistency, bias that can affect both the quality of the decision, but also the fairness of the process. And so Predict AI is designed to create a repeatable, objective, and data-driven decision-making process. So Angie's going to take you through a demo very shortly, but I wanted to spend a minute just thinking about the impact that technology can have. So customers will frequently report sizable efficiency gains through video interviewing and through Predict AI. And those efficiency gains can be taken either as a time saving, so that time can be reallocated to higher value activities, or it can be to enable headcount saving. And certainly one of the challenges a lot of employers are facing at the moment is increasing volumes of submissions, but not a commensurate increase in headcount or budget. So finding ways to deal with high volumes of traffic efficiently is one of the key values. And the other two areas that customers focus on is the reduction in attrition through better identification of soft skills and candidate competencies earlier in the process, and also a faster process, reducing time to hire and getting good candidates in role faster. And I wanted to talk about the example of E.ON. So earlier this year, E.ON adopted OutMatch Video and Predict AI to handle their UK high volume recruitment. OutMatch has helped them remove nearly all of the manual steps in the upfront screening and selection process. And this has helped them to reduce time to hire from 16 weeks right down to 2 weeks, turnover or attrition from 20% down to 2%. And for the candidates, the process involves them going through an application hosted in OutMatch, followed by a situational judgment test and a video interview that's automatically assessed using Predict AI. And that end-to-end process takes around about 20 minutes, with successful candidates being able to progress through to a live video interview, typically within 3 days. So I'm now going to hand over to Angie, who's going to take you through a short demo so you can get a feel for what it looks like.
Hey, so hopefully everyone, oh, sorry, excuse me. Just need to get rid of that bit here. Okay, all right, so great. So I'll just turn off my camera for this bit because it will clash with the video camera in a minute. What I will be demoing here is, as Chris described, is our video product suite along with our scheduling capability. And where we're starting here is where the candidates will come to the platform. So this is a starting point where we can have a video for the candidate. So generally, this is a very content-rich experience and it can be completely configured to align with your brand. We can have different content for different types of hiring or for different locations as well. So you can build a narrative around your business throughout the process for the candidate. As the candidate is going through this process, they can come in through a public link, in which case they would be entering their details here, or they could be invited with our white labeled emails, which also include sending reminders to the candidate so we can improve completion rates. Now, a candidate can take this experience from any device that they like. It's fully mobile optimized, so depending on the device the candidate is using, they're still going to get a great experience. Now, sorry, so there are some initial questions here. So excuse me, I'll take you through only the video experience. Apologies about that. Let me start again. Sorry about this hiccup. Starting again. As I was saying, our candidate will come here. They will enter the details and they will accept the terms and conditions. Then the candidate will then move on to start having some more content where you can explain how this process will work or more about the video interview. And having these videos is optional for the candidates. And then the candidate will go through a quick onboarding process, which will begin with some general tips here, and then a quick video and camera check, where the candidate can check their equipment. And then we can have some final tips. Again, you can give your own color to this and you can have your own video here for the candidate. And then the candidate can do a practice question where we can deliver questions in text or video format or both. And then the candidate will be answering the questions on screen. They can also blur their videos if they want. And if they're feeling self-conscious, so they don't watch themselves while they're speaking. And then they can go on to record their answer. And they can do this as many times as they want until they feel comfortable with the process. Now, as soon as they are happy to move on, they will see the screen where they have some final directions based on the design workflow for the candidate. And then they will start with the actual video interview where they will be seeing their questions and then they will be able to record their answers. For every question and answer, there will be a preparation time. As you can see here, I had 30 seconds to prepare, and then there will be an answer time, and both of those can be configured for the needs of the assessment. Now, for most clients, it's important that the candidate only gets one response to each of the questions so they can recreate the condition of a real telephone interview. But there is also the option for candidates to be able to re-record themselves if that is desired as well. And as a candidate is going through this process, they are able to also pause the process, leave, and then come back through a resume link, which will be available for them in their email. So if I left the process at question 1, it would take me back to question 2 where I left off and my answer was missing. Great. Now, the other thing to mention here with the questions is that our platform can deliver a random question allocation that's very sophisticated. It's based on competencies, and it can deliver a very fair and consistent process because you can have randomization of the questions based on the different competencies you want to assess, but you can still have different questions, so you can avoid candidates sharing their questions in different platforms online. Right. So as you can see, very simple, just talking to the camera and I can always be mindful of the timer here as well. Now, at the end of the process, we can thank the candidate, and also someone can have a thank you video for the candidate to thank them for taking part in the process. And what would have happened now is we have a series of recordings from the candidate that will either need to be reviewed by someone in the platform or in an IDS, as we will explain in a minute, or they could be reviewed by Predict AI that Chris mentioned earlier, where we can automatically prioritize the candidates with the use of machine learning. So there's also the option there, as well as after the candidates have been reviewed either by Predict AI or the recruitment team, we could be having here automated candidate feedback going back to the candidate based on the candidate's performance against a group of questions that align to the client values or key competencies. So it could be that all of your candidates here are also getting this automated feedback when they are reviewed. Now, if we go on to the recruiter side of things, so going back to the recruiter screen I was at before. Now, in terms of the recruiter process, the basic functionality will be the same if they were using our platform or if they were using an ATS. So essentially, from an ATS, you would be seeing similar information on the page with the candidate's video assessment and what I will take you through in a moment, with the exception that it will be a bit stripped back, as the access point here is the candidate's profile in the ATS. So you would only be seeing candidate-specific information and not all of the candidates as you see in this page. And here you can review the candidate submission, you can watch the candidate video for the different questions, you can have multiple review criteria per question or for the whole interview to assess the candidate, which can assess the candidate's communication skills, could be the competencies and behaviors you want to assess as well here, or the candidate's motivation as well. So it could be assessing a wide range of different things that you might want to. And then you can score the candidate here against a rating scale, which can also be configured. Now, when we're scoring the candidate here, if this is through an ATS integration, the score will go back to the ATS as well. And most of the clients will be scoring the candidates, and they might also be making a decision for the candidate to shortlist or reject them at this stage, or perhaps move them to a maybe bucket. Now, in this page also, you can do a lot of other things like share your candidate with your colleagues, request a retake where the candidate will retake one or all of the assessment, meaning one question only, if, for example, the sound quality is not good for a specific question. And then you can also take various actions against your candidates. So you could have that for this candidate, you want to move them directly to the scheduling and live part that I will take you through in a minute. Or it could be that you want to do this for all of your candidates and you can bulk move them to live. And there are other ways to do that as well. It could be that you can have set up automation that when you shortlist a candidate from your ATS, they automatically move to scheduling and live as well. Or when Predict AI is used, it could be that your top performing candidates are automatically being moved through. So there are many different ways that your candidates could be asked to schedule themselves for a live video interview. And regardless of how they are moved to the live video interview, in all cases, they will be receiving an email at this point that will ask them to schedule themselves. So there will be a link that will take them to our real-time scheduling tool, which you can see here, where you can, the candidate can schedule themselves for a specific day and time for when they want their interview to be. And how this works in the background is that the availability here is calculated based on the employer's Outlook or Google Calendar. So we're actually seeing the live availability there. And also the assessors can set their own configuration of when they want to be available. For example, let's say I want to be available between 9 and 5 every day with a break for lunch or something. So the combination of this personal configuration and the live calendar availability creates this availability which the candidate sees here. And when the candidate confirms the interview, that is when the candidate will receive a confirmation email with a link to the live video interview, and the same will happen for the assessor that has been selected automatically, and they will also have a calendar invite ready for them with a link to the live video interviewing tool that they need, as well as a link to the candidate and information for the candidate. So they don't really need to go into the platform or find anything. Everything happens automatically for them. And before we move on, just to mention that the candidates can also cancel and reschedule their interviews from the same self-serve interface, and we can have limitation of how many times someone can reschedule as well. Now, when a candidate has actually scheduled the live video interview, as I mentioned, they will receive an invite to actually go ahead with the live video interview. Their invite will contain a link which will take them to this interface. Their details will be already available there as we know who they are. And here we can continue with more content. Again, this is optional and it can be just a continuation of the story around the brand, the business, or the role itself. Then the candidate can finally move on to the live video interview lobby area where they can see when is their interview, and they can also check compatibility with their device. Now, our live video interviewing tool supports both Zoom and Teams for live video interviews, and specifically for Teams, you can actually use your own Microsoft Teams account to power the live video interviews without any disruption. So it will be very easy to set up with your existing process. And then after the candidate checks that they're all right, when the time comes, they can directly join their interview from here. By clicking Join Interview, it just pops up the Zoom or the Microsoft Teams window immediately for the candidate and can just join. Very simple process. And the same from the interviewer side, they will have the same link available to them in the calendar invite, and they will be able to join the interview very easily at the time to speak to the candidate. During the interview, they can also be using our interface to be adding comments for the candidate or scoring the candidate. So you're seeing here our live video interviewing interface. And they could also shortlist or reject the candidate. And whatever they do with this interface is also possible to integrate with an ATS. So we could be sending back this information to the ATS from this page. And also this is where someone can do some extra actions around managing the candidate. So for example, someone could be deciding to cancel the candidate's interview for some reason and leave them a message or ask them to reschedule as well to manage the interview. So a lot of different capability here for the recruiter. And that concludes the video products demo. Now passing it back to Chris to finish with the presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Angie. Chris, while you're pulling your screen back up, I have a question here that I wanted to read out from Craig. We are currently leveraging Zoom or FaceTime to conduct video interviewing now. What are the key benefits that OutMatch and Launchpad solution would have over the current tools? So I know we looked at a lot of capabilities just now, but Chris, maybe you can summarize the key differentiators there.
Absolutely. So the main reason that customers are using our live product with Zoom is that it gives more structure to the process. So what Angie sort of touched on just now, you can create an interface to score candidates in a consistent way that continues that sort of fair level playing field that's delivered in sort of asynchronous assessment. And the second reason is to join that process together from a candidate experience perspective, both in the ability to book themselves into those interviews. Obviously, that's good news for both stakeholders, but also that onboarding process where they can go into a fully branded experience that gives them hints and tips and actually manages that experience rather than just being a tool that they log on to.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Craig chatted in, excellent to your response. So I think you answered it. Thank you so much. Okay, so if there are no other questions from the audience, I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Angie. If this is something you're interested in exploring in 2021, you know, as Craig wrote in, you're probably using something for video interviewing today. But if you really want to build out what that platform might look like and add some capabilities in terms of automated scheduling and on-demand video interviewing that can really take the place of that initial phone screen. And we have a lot of customers that have completely eliminated looking at resumes or CVs with this process. So we would love to talk more about how we can help you do that. And since you're already an OutMatch customer, you know us, you have a client success manager that you can connect with. And you know, obviously getting multiple parts of your recruitment platform through one vendor is certainly going to be more cost effective and easier to manage, and we can get you up and running really quickly. So thank you again to everyone for joining. And when I close this out here in just a second, you're going to get a little survey pop up on your screen, and that's where you can click yes if you're interested in connecting to learn more or getting that one-on-one demo. Thanks, everyone.